Alright, welcome to the start of a new anime review series. This one, I never expected to do this one. It's been on my watch list for a long time. I kind of heard about the series several years ago, and about 3 years ago, when I met the lead voice actresses at lead voice actors for the show at Shogi Expo, which by the way I'm going to see her again next month, Lisa Ortiz, she recommended that I watch this series. Now, this has never happened. This is the only... Now, here's the thing. This has kind of happened before with That Time Crimes of Slime, where the Reamer herself, himself, basically, Brittany Kowalski recommended I see the movie. But show... this has never happened before. Where you have a lead voice... Like, I didn't know who the main character even was. I kind of heard the name Slayers before. I knew it was some big anime. But I knew nothing about the series. And then Lisa Ortiz, who voices the lead character of the series, Slayers. This is we're talking about Slayers here. She voices the character... Lena Inverlease. That is her name. This anime came out 30 years ago. Yep, 30 years ago. Good time to view it now. I wonder if there's ever been a plan to reunite the dubcast for the show. I do know that Lena herself, Lisa Ortiz, and another character in this episode, both their voice actors are both going to be at Shogi X next month. Though Eric Stewart, the guy who voices the male lead of the show, he is charging $60 for an autograph. I'm like, not paying that. It's too much. I have my standards when it comes to paying for autographs or combos. It's just way too much. So, we start out with these... Now, before I talk about the thing of the show, this is the first anime that I have watched that was released in the 1990s since I watched and reviewed since Dragon Ball GT. That was the last known one that this happened with, where it is kind of weird going from the modern animation style to the much older animation style of the 1990s. It's, for me, a bit jarring, but hey, I wanted to watch this, so here we go. First season, 26 episodes. There is some interesting fun factoids about this season, some of the voice actors. Like, one character appears in episode 2, where that his lead voice actor got replaced during the season. Because the contract, I'll discuss someone when I get to it. So, we start with these bandits like, haha, we have all this treasure. And then we have this blue light come down, and it's Lena! And like, oh crap, it's the Inverlease, the bandit killer! Get her! And she proceeds to kill the leader of these bandits and steal all their treasure. And then one of the members, who's got an eye patch, like, hello, I really think it's gonna kill it. Like, I'm gonna chat with you. It's like, ooh, something nice. And then, of course, we're introduced to our male lead not long after this. Oh boy! A guy by the name of Gory Gabrov. That is the guy's name. He's voiced by Eric Stewart. For those of you who are not familiar with that voice actor, it's the voice that says Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, seriously. Unlike in the case with Shaman King, with his character from that one, where, yes, he had voiced of Kaiba, but the thing is, it wasn't so blatantly obvious the way he performed the character in that show, where it was like, basically half the time I kept thinking he was going to say, I summon Blue Eyes White Dragon. Of course, this is the maybe before that show, so there you go. I did look at basically how, when did Lisa Ortiz start her voice acting career. She's been voice acting since 1996. This means that Slayers is one of her very first shows she had worked on. Interesting. And of course, he limited those bandits, the many one, and of course, she thinks she's a little girl because he's short. And of course And the thing is about Lena is she breaks the fourth wall, like, oh, what stock dialogue that is, or it's kind of funny the fact that she's like this, and then like, oh, like she basically talked to herself because she doesn't say heard herself in a third person per se, but she does like talking to herself. And they go, it's like, hey, I need to go to the town of Atlas, and they go to a nearby town where they eat some food. Meanwhile, though, a freaking black dragon breaks out of this dungeon. I'm like, damn, a black dragon the first episode? Oh my gosh. Which makes this the second anime I've seen where you have a dragon pop up in the very first episode of the series. Yes, seriously. The last series this happened with was that Democurrents of Slime, who, like this one, I met the lead voice actress. That was at Central for Comic Con, that one. That was like 2 years ago. So apparently this was Leah's pet. So, and this dragon is destroying this town. I've read also the series is sort of described as a sci-fi show. And yet it feels like a fantasy series. I don't know, maybe I misclassified it or something. I thought it was a sci-fi show. Oh no, it's sword and sorcery. I could have sworn it was sci-fi. I was thinking, oh, this is space. Nope. It's Earth-based, kind of. They didn't really say exactly when this takes place, just some fantasy world. So, despite the fact Lisa's first credited role was in 1996, she did do a voiceover for Gale Force, probably also in the 1990s. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure of that. Yep. And yeah, so it's like, oh, hey, can you eliminate the dragon fangs? Oh, don't worry, they're all gone. And the dragon's like, you lied! You didn't eliminate the dragon. Like, I didn't say eliminate the dragon. I said eliminate the bandits. But of course, basically, she and Gusev had to take on this black dragon. Which she tries at first, a fireball, doesn't work. And then she has to chant a spell while he's basically stabbed with the dragon. And she has a levitation spell. And then eventually she proceeds to like launch this Dragon Slayer spell, which does destroy the dragon. And she's like, hey, can I have those 30 pieces of gold? It's like, forget about getting paid. You destroyed our freaking town. And what's Lisa's response? Run away! Run away! Yes. Yeah, so they race next town. So then when they get there, she has to sort of get the items sold. You know, for profit. Yep. Makes these cheap crystals. Yeah, basically makes these cheap crystals into these amulets, which just to try to sell to this antique store owner. Which, of course, while Goose is in there, he's like, hey, I'm so bored. I think that's his name. Gabrov. Yeah, let's call him Gabrov. So, then we see this magical knife. He takes it out. And apparently this knife, this is not the first time I've seen this, where you have a basically a sharp weapon, basically a blade-like weapon, and they take out the sheath and they become insane. In the case of anime, I think this has happened maybe once or twice. It doesn't happen very much. I've seen this also happen in an episode of a Metal Hero series, believe it or not. Yes. So, pretty much basically, so then they try to live, and eventually the wife comes down and spooks him, drops it. Now I saw they're outside the back of their store, which also functions as their house. Like, wait, if this is a fantasy setting, then why in the world are there shutters on those windows? Like, is this set in some version of Europe that appears like 19, like maybe like 18th century, maybe. Not sure, but I thought the Shutters was interesting. I didn't expect to see that. Then, of course, they probably take Night with them because they go next town. Where then episode 2 ends. We have, by the way, they also stop by this restaurant, which there is this Mummy Man, which they identify this guy called, what is his name here? Because it makes his debut in episode 2 of the show. Let's see, his name is... Well, they refer to him as Mummy Man. That's what Lee refers to him as. His name is actually Zolf. And he's voiced by Sean Hart. He is not actually around very much often in the show. Not really, no. And he only appears just in terms of the light novels the show is based on. He only appears in the very first book, and he appears in the manga, the Super Explosive Demon Story, volumes 2 and 3. And then, of course, later on in the episode, dealing with his trolls. Then they go to their inn, where Lena's asleep. Well, actually, first they deal with some berserkers. She stops beginning after partway through the fight, and she's asleep. Turns out she's wounded, so Galbraith just proceeds to carry her, bridal style. And of course, she's embarrassed by that. And eventually, they get to her room. She's asleep, and then some weird old man shows up. Actually, before the whole berserk thing, they're the two individuals. One, of course, the Mummy Man again. The other is his other character, Zengas. There's an interesting story involving his voice actor. His original voice actor, his name is Daniel Crennan. Yes. And he actually is the voice of this character from episodes 2 through 10. And there's a reason why they had to replace him. He got replaced with Chris Reeve, who's a great voice actor. So, the original dub studio who dubbed the show was Central Park Media. They apparently dubbed the whole thing. And it was on, I think I heard it was on like Hulu. I looked there, not there. I looked on Amazon Prime, so it was there. Not there either. Like, I had to go to the official website to find this anime. Oh, so what happened with Daniel Crennan? So, after episode 10, actually episode 13 I think this was, the show, which originally they had contracted to dub it, there was a hiatus for 18 months due to a legal dispute. And then when the show resumed, and this character came back, the original voice actor, they apparently lost contact with him for some reason. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, Dan Crennan is the original voice actor, and replaced him as Crispin Freeman, which some people do know this guy as the voice of Itachi from Naruto, and also, he is the voice of Alucard from Hellsing. So apparently the studio who was dubbing it was the division that was working with Central Park Media. It is, well, the company itself no longer is. It's called Softforce Sculptors. Central Park Media went out of business almost 20 years ago. Apparently, they also not only released dubbing of anime over here, they also released manga, which that is interesting. I have never heard. Now you might be thinking, "Oh, is this a studio who does manga, dubs anime, like release manga?" There's only like two other ones I can think of that did that. Well, he still does it. Viz Media and Tokyo Pop, but Tokyo Pop doesn't do dubbing anymore, and I can think of. They release occasional manga. Viz Media still releases manga. I think Crunchyroll releases some manga, but not as much. Yeah. So, what happened with him? I don't know. it is a bit weird. But it is mostly with the same studio who animated the series. Excuse me. So, who actually responsible for creating the show? Let's see. Slayers was made by a studio. Oh, that's interesting. So, the first 3 seasons are done by E&G Films, but the remainder of the show was done by JC Staff. They did the last 2 seasons of the show, Revolution and Evolution R. There's basically 5 seasons of the original Slayers. There was Slayers Next, Slayers Try, Slayers Evolution, and Evolution R. You're like, okay, interesting. Yes, so why they changed studios? I have no idea of the reason for this. So, then the whole Berserk thing happened, and then they talk about the inn they're staying at, so then we encounter another character in episode 3 of the show. You're like, really? Oh yeah, really? Excuse me. So we come to this Red Priest. Yes. So the person who saved them from these other creatures is none other than Renzo the Red Priest, which, like in the case of the other guy, they replaced his voice actor too. I wonder if it's for the same reason. Okay, so he left the show for no reasons. But like the other guy, at least they lose contact with him. Yeah, it's like interesting though the fact this guy only appears from episodes 3 through 10, and he just appears just occasionally afterwards in flashbacks, but it's like he just appears once and that was it. And apparently Zengalis' plan is to resurrect a frickin' Demon King known as Ruby-Eye Sagadru, and the reason? Destroy the world. And of course, basically just so basically she spends the night in her male companion's room by sleeping on the floor while he sleeps in the bed, which is kind of awkward because usually the gentleman proceeds to sleep on the floor and the woman sleeps in bed. She's opposite. And of course, apparently he's a popular. Apparently he says one of the 5 great wise men. Interesting. So at least he's a known person. Apparently, the companion has no idea. Of course, they've heard of him as a great sage. Yeah, he's not the only one. Oh no. Like, yeah, so basically, Gabarov had no idea who the heck he is. No, seriously, he did not. So this old man named Radimus, he is, now, unlike in the case of the other voice actors who kept you replaced, this guy, no, he's voiced by Junior Renkboff. Who managed to basically just voice, at least he managed to keep the same voice actor. Like the other ones who basically got replaced. Zoloff, yeah, he's voiced by a guy called Stan Hart. Which, apparently this guy was, I kid you not, this was the original dub actor for Professor Oak from Pokemon. Interesting. Never thought of that. And of course, like, when did I write there with those 3 episodes? Yeah, quite interesting set of episodes, this one. And yes, I do have 23 episodes left to go. I'm going to be at this for a little bit. I don't know how long it would take me to get through this season, but I'll try to get through as quickly as I can, so I can make Ninja as soon as possible. But, excuse me, so I'll probably go through a few more tomorrow morning. Like, do one before I go to work. At least, like, maybe a couple on my... I'll probably have 2 breaks tomorrow. Do my first break or my second break. And probably just... maybe work on like 1 or 2 when I get home from work. So expect to see hopefully a review of that tomorrow. Yep. But yeah. So that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up we have a Comic Corner. And then I'm gonna call it a night, okay? Next video. Bye.